Welcome back to Inuyasha Anime Review Part 6. This is reviewing the last 10 episodes of Season 2. And in case you're wondering how far Season 2 basically was adapted up into, yeah, 2 only adapted like 92 chapters. Yes, 92 chapters of the manga. Started with chapter 101, stopped at chapter 182. I think it stopped like partway through chapter 182. Yep. Now, in case you're wondering, is they new characters who debut in these episodes. There's like 3 who do. There's also a new move that debuts in these episodes, and like our first person that? No, that's simply it. There's like no other new. As far as I can tell, there's a good character development for Kagome in these set of episodes, but aside from that, not a lot of basically like. I mean, there's some major things that happen in these episodes, yes, but nothing really like. Of course, there's like one other thing that basically is more intensified here. Now, like with the last time, the Inuyasha does have a couple of transformations to a full-blown demon. The first time is in episode 40, was actually just prior to this one, when his sword was first broken, and it did it again with this two-parter, with this three-parter actually kind of a two-parter with a standalone follow-up, and it happened again toward the end of the very season. Yeah, the thing with these remaining episodes is basically mostly all multi-parters, with the exception of episode 47. Not 47, with the exception of, well, you can kind of think of it the way 40 is kind of a standalone-ish episodes, and you have 49 50 being a two-parter, 1552 is two-parter, and the last 2 episodes simply a two-parter. Yep. With 45 and 46, basically with this two-parter, they kind of wrap up a little loose thread with the sword that debuted in the previous episode, where the guy wielding the sword is killed when he's consumed by his own sword, and the thing is so evilly pulsing, and then Toshimu claims it, and, well, that's the last to see of it. He uses it once after this in another episode, but aside from that, he doesn't do much anything with it. Yep. 46 is a standalone episode. Yeah, 46, which kind of loosely sets up basically 46 to 48 are basically 3 loosely connected episodes. 46 debut of 2 more incarnations of Naraku. These are technically the 4th and 5th ones introduced in the series. Jiraru and Kaguraru. Yes. The first one, Jagamaru, is like this normal looking person who's got pale skin. Kanemaru is kind of like a parasite. Yep. And you have Koga and Inuyasha team up to take on these 2. And of course, they don't get along very well, and then they win. At one point, Koga actually runs away, but he goes back, basically realizes Kagome might be in danger. And of course, Inuyasha gets heavily injured during the course of this, and Kagome decides to get an argument to go home. Though he's actually going to get medical supplies. Well, that is until basically somehow Naraku's like, hey, I need to get rid of Kikyo. She's a nuisance to me. Gotta go kill her. So, how about gigantic red soul collector kill some of her own Kikyo's soul collectors in order to kill her off and take all of the souls she collected? Yep, and then of course, well, Inuyasha kind of forces himself on when he runs to Kikyo, like, despite the fact that they kind of, well, still kind of hates him. She still kind of hates him for what happened. But, and of course, Inuyasha kind of forces a hug on her. Yeah, which as far as I can tell, I don't know if these 2 have ever hugged before. They've kissed before, yes. Hug? No, not really. And this leads to Kagome basically going back to modern era and try to basically stop going back to the feudal era because of Inuyasha's infatuation with Kikyo. But she realizes, though, that yes, she has feelings for Inuyasha. Yeah, she realizes this in these 2 episodes, that she has feelings for him, and then she goes back and she sort of makes up with him. And they stay together for pretty much the whole series. At this point, yes. Let's just say their feelings are basically sorted out. I mean, yeah, they're still together. Yep. And, yeah, not much else to it when it comes to these few episodes. Yeah, and they have this thing where when Kikyo shows up, it's like, oh yeah, she mentioned the rock is like, hey, the only reason it will kill me is because of Orikamu's heart still beats inside of you. and he kind of casts that aside. Yeah, this forms something else, which is introduced a little bit later. Yep. 49, the return of Kohaku. Yes, 49 and 50. Yeah, return of Kohaku, and he shows up and he has no memory. Yep, no memory. And also, he's not wearing his Demon Slayer attire. Why he switched back to a civilian outfit is never explained. Yeah, but this whole thing was a trap just to take out Kagome because, well, probably because Naraka knows she could take the shards of Shukan Jewel. Yeah, and of course, Sogo was kind of tricked into believing about this. And of course, Kagura shows up in this two-parter, and pretty much at one point when Kagura shows up, she brings 100 demons just to retrieve one guy, all because he has a shard in his back. Yep, still under control, despite, and also apparently Naraku is kind of revealed Kagura via Naraku via Kagura that apparently Kohaku wanted this. He wanted to erase his own memories because he didn't want to remember the fact he killed his father and his villagers, his comrades, and in fact he massacred a whole village. Yeah, and of course, well, Moroku had no choice despite the fact this poison insect around to absorb all of this stuff, and starts healing up. And of course, well, next day, pretty much like everybody's very much like normal. And of course, Sango is bandaging up Moroku's wounds, and then it's like it looks like you think he's about to die, and then she's like getting really embarrassed. The reason? Because Moroku is rubbing her butt. Yep, he had to do it. I'm sure it was well worth getting hit by her because he really liked groping her a lot. Yep. It's a funny little moment. Yep. As for Kohaku, well, yeah, that becomes a recurring plot thread with him throughout the rest of the series of his confliction and the fact he has the shard in his back. Yeah, that's a recurring plot thread throughout the rest of the series. This two-parter kind of continues that, but it just basically continues a plot thread that's already there, just so that it's not forgotten about. Yep. Next two-parter, which involves Return to Shishimaru, who meets a tree demon discussing with Inuyasha. Inuyasha battles. This also is the third time. He does briefly. Actually, I kind of almost forgot about this one. He does transform into a demon briefly this time while taking on a demon who poses as who basically taking the form of the leader of a group of bandits who basically massacre almost an entire village, with the exception of the women. Reason? Oh yeah, apparently he's sort of a moth, spiderish demon because apparently this guy can shoot out webs out of his freaking mouth, and when he transforms into his demon form, he looks like a giant moth. Yeah. Eventually, this creature is killed by Inuyasha, thanks to, well, him transforming into his demon mode. Of course, at one point he had also been trapped in a cocoon. He pretty much transformed into this mode when he started to, when he saw him basically sucking the life out of the various young women, and pretty much like. Also, prior to this, before I continue, basically there was this little boy they just happened to come across who basically needed help with the grandfather thought was second demon. Nope, he just fell over, so they carried him to a nearby village, and his same village was attacked by bandits. Not by demons, by bandits. Because it was very common back then for villages to be attacked by freaking bandits. Yep. As to the fight itself, like right after he takes out demon, he pretty much massacres all his demon form, kills all the bandits. All of them. And then Shishimaru shows up, takes out his evil sword, which apparently does almost nothing to Inuyasha. Does wound him, yes, but eventually he does turn back to normal, thanks to Kagome getting back his sword. Well, I'm of course protecting him from being killed, and of course Shishimaru walks away, and that's nice to see him for the rest of the season because he's not in the following two episodes. The last two episodes is debut of a new character who only appears in his two-parter, and debut of a new move for the Tensaiga, the Backlash Wave. Yep, the Backlash Wave. A move he would use frequently the whole series until he gets another move. Yeah, he used this move for quite some time before he could use another move, which that'll get to in a video. Yeah, Because he's getting, now the recurring plot thread that's been going on since the Tenseiga was restored back in episode 44 is that the thing is freaking heavy. So he needs to learn how to get lighter. And of course he goes to fight his father's old enemy, Roshinki, basically an old Chinese dragon. Yeah, with a mask on top of his head, which I thought that was kind of weird. But it's the series. They're basically having monsters having weird designs. Yep, and apparently this thing was pinned to a side of a freaking mountain, thanks to, of course, Inuyasha's father, the great dog general, which apparently Inuyasha never mentions the fact in the whole series that he's related to this guy at all. He never mentions any demons he comes across. Maybe he's some fear for him. I don't know. The only demon who actually knows he's the son of the great dog general is this one guy, because Naraku finds out about this guy, sends one of his puppets to basically free him, which has a claw. One of his father's claws, one of the great demon generals, the great dog general's claws inside of him. Eventually gets out. Inuyasha basically was very hesitant to kill him when he was in that floor because he does not believe in killing defenseless demons at all. Now, he just briefly transformed into his actual demon form in this episode, but he's able to maintain his senses enough to grab his own sword, transfer back to Tenseiga, and basically show off his new move, Backlash, which he even know was the Backlash. He thought it was just basically the Wind Scar. And eventually, at the end, he does defeat the actual demon. Yep, he defeats him, and like, oh, I'm invincible after basically slicing a few rocks. Of course, Shogo and Moroku's like, please stop. You're basically out of control. It's like, I don't know who can stop me. And of course, Kagome tells him to sit. First time in quite a while, basically, he's done this. First time he checks into him in the middle of a rock quarry. Yeah. As for the episodes as a whole, pretty good. It's a pretty good set of episodes, but mostly, if you look at it, just like continuing some plot threads. Though it does end the civilization of the whole thing with, it does end the plot thread of the Tenseiga being heavy after being heavy for almost 10 episodes. Yeah, in this two-parter, the Tenseiga becomes lighter because basically it trusts him. Yeah, because the sword itself is made from Inuyasha's own fang, not one of his father's fangs. And he is told that he needs to keep holding up the sword, otherwise those demons will come out. Yep. But not much else to say about these episodes, because that's all I gotta say. But actually, they're pretty good. It's like, if you look at them, it's like, okay, like the first few episodes, basically, from like 44, 45, kind of wraps up a two-parter. Actually, a three-parter. But 44 does start a plot thread that pretty much lasts the rest of the season anyways. With the whole thing of the sword being heavy. I mean, and in the case of 46, 40, 48, it's just 3 loosely connected episodes related to the relationship between Inuyasha and Kagome, and then you have like 3 two-parters in a row just to end season 2. Yep. One of our return of Kohaku, which all this was a continued plot thread from the early on this season, and 5152 does kind of continue a plot thread from this season. Doesn't really much go anywhere. And Shishomaru, despite being in 5152, he doesn't do a lot of anything. He just appears. He only appears like a couple times, both times in these episodes. But that's pretty much it. We just have this one demon shows up, who Inuyasha kills anyways. Yeah, 53-54. It's a good way to end the season per se, but I kind of wish that they would a little bit better, basically, and having that Inuyasha basically be like over the top, basically. Oh yeah, I'm freaking invincible because I am. Yep. But not much else to say about these episodes. They're actually pretty good, but not as good as the last ones per se. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. Now, once again, I'm taking a break from this series because I just finished up another season. So, what new series am I starting up next? Before I start season 3, I'm starting a series known as Testament of the New Sister Devil. Testament of the New Sister Devil. Yes, I'm going to start this series. I'm reading light novels right now. Yeah, it's a light novel series. That surprisingly is only 12 books. But I'll discuss more about that tomorrow. Or to discuss my first part of hopefully about 7 videos, 7 parts of the series, along with some specials. Yep, but to this next view. Bye.